What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we've been talking about getting this one to the table for a while. It's finally here. It is Mind Management, designed by Cormier and Sen-Foong. Hopefully I pronounced your names correctly. And is published by Off the Page Games. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who'll tell you more about the game itself.
Well, first of all, we'd like to thank Off the Page Games for this review copy. We appreciate your support of the channel. We'd like to remind our viewers that our opinions will remain our own. So this is a competitive, cooperative, or solo game.
And we are purely reviewing this from the perspective of a cooperative game. Now, when you do read the rulebook, it does recommend that you play the game with some other players first to get a feel for it before you try to play it cooperatively, which I did, which took forever, which is why this wasn't covered a couple of months ago. We finally got the chance to play it with some friends. They enjoyed it. Now we're playing it on the same team.
So this is for ages 14 and above. It is for 1 to 5 players. Obviously, competitive or cooperative, it's more than one. And it takes 60 minutes. Actually, we found that some of our games were a little bit below that. So
yeah, it's one of the really nice things about this game is that it says 60 minutes on the box and it plays within 60 minutes. So what will you be doing in the game? Well, you're trying to find the recruiter who works for Mind Management, who's trying to recruit these new agents, psychic agents, to take control of the world. They have their different agents on the board, the Immortals. There are 4 Immortals. You can't quite see all of them. That'll be moving around trying to recruit agents as well. You will be moving your player pieces around the board, trying to locate them, while Mayhem tokens will block your way. You have until 1,600 hours to find them, or the recruiter wins, or if they get either 12 agents or 13, depending on how long you've been playing, and some of the different upgrades that are in this box, because that is one of the very unique things about Mind Management, is that depending on which side wins, they will get new abilities for the following game. So rogue agents lose, well, the recruiter will stay the same power level, they'll get stronger. Recruiter wins, recruiter loses, they get more powerful, and so on and so forth, until you've unlocked all the features that are in the box, which we'll take a quick look at a little later on. Anything else to add, Julie? Did I miss anything at all? Oh, you've got these cool tokens to make notes. And we don't do it enough, so I'm just going to iterate it. Make lots of notes. We're going to try to do better this time, though.
And maybe this is the time I figure out the game. We figure out the game.
Well, figure out the best way to play the game, because we've been getting better, but it definitely has some learning curves.
Okay, so on that note, I think it's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend and fellow rogue agent, since we're hunting the recruiter.
And we're going to take it to the table
one more time. So, Julie, I'm eager to hear your thoughts on Mind Management, but since we're not showing off the components of the game, and I think that's one thing that we both agree came out very well, and the box is pretty cool. At the end of the video, I'll showcase what's in the box, because there's no guarantee I'm going to get this thing back in exactly the right spot. So how did you feel about the components for the game?
Well, they're good quality. I mean, you've got some nice wood standees.
Double-sided too, and I think that came across very well, screen printed.
And you've got the
Mayhem tokens.
The Mayhem, I was going to say melee. Yeah, the Mayhem tokens, and the clues that you can write on and erase with your dry erase markers. I particularly like the feet. I think they're pretty cute.
Yeah, I like the steps as well. And as Julie said, these are really cool because you got the confirmed side and then the unconfirmed side to make your own speculations and take notes. And I think that's just very well done. You also do get a couple of different dry erase markers, and that works out well. The only thing is it kind of matches the colors of the characters, but not really. But I don't think a yellow or pink dry erase marker would do very well with taking notes.
No, and the cardstock is pretty good. I don't think you need to sleeve it unless you're really rough with your cards.
Yeah, and you're really not shuffling too many cards here besides this deck, so if you really felt the need to sleeve, 1 pack of sleeves would be more than enough. You got a nice quality here for the Mind Slip token, which I like the fact that it's cut out. We do have the recruits, and that's cool as well. And the one thing I want to say is they definitely went up in terms of quality with this game. You could easily get away with just having plastic components, and you don't. And then the round marker, being this little like spyglass thing, I thought was very cool as well. And then you do have these shift system packages. Something that you'll see when I take a look at what's in the box a little later on is that with these packages, you're going to be changing up the game depending on who wins. Now, this is one for the rogue agents. There are ones for the recruiter, and so on and so forth. And then Julia, this in front of her just made more sense. You've got, for when you're playing versus, which we're not going to be talking about in this review, you have, a way to hide your map when you're the recruiter so no one can see it. Some nice thematic thing on the back of the map. And the map is designed to be used with the dry erase. And behind here, you've got spots for your cards. So they're not just lying in front of you, they're actually put up. And I think that's a really good idea because it makes it harder for people to accidentally see things when you're playing the versus game. And now, how did we play this game, Julie?
Well, we played it cooperatively, and I think we didn't play it very well. Actually, that's not true. The last game, I think we started getting a little bit more of a handle for it. Kind of embarrassed to say that we didn't manage to win any of our games.
No, we did not manage to win any of our games. And there are a few things that didn't quite go our way, a few mistakes, and I definitely have some critiques about the app. Now, these are critiques that I've had about similar apps in the past, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But in terms of the gameplay and adapting a hidden movement game to be a solo or cooperative experience, I thought I did very well.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've got a mixed bag of feelings about this game. I'm happy it's cooperative because I can say that I would likely really hate this game if it wasn't cooperative. I've never been a big, huge fan of these, trying to it's funny.
Figure stuff out, taking notes in the game.
I love mysteries, but I love mysteries because they unroll it for you a little bit at a time, and they keep giving you little clues, or they take you on little tangents that are false trails, but they take you on this journey, which is different from this. This, you gotta figure it out, and I don't enjoy that, I have to say. But working at it together was definitely more enjoyable. I can say that I play this game much better middle of the day than I do after a long, exhausting day. The late games that we played, I was like, I don't know where he is, whatever, he can run away.
And we often complain about games taking too long. The game says 60 minutes. I played this versus one time. We played it together multiple times. It definitely comes in at or under 60 minutes, which I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, once we start getting the hang of it a little bit more and not be too, analysis paralysis, because you can definitely get that with this game. There are so many different possibilities of what could happen because you start so far behind, because he has such a head start on you. There's so many different ways that this can go, and I guess that's why maybe we just never unpeeled the onion far enough to really. We got close and then we lost them, and I have to say I'm not a huge fan of his ability to mind slip.
Yeah, because we had him cornered, and then just so you know, in our last game, he was right here. He is surrounded. We basically boxed him in, and we're just about to find him, but we ran out of time. And it's very difficult to catch him when it's only 2 agents per turn. So, I mean, it's not like you get to use all of your abilities all the time. And then that was the only thing that set us back. I'll talk about a couple of the things in the app that definitely affected us as well. And we did get some comments, some requests about talking about playing this game solo or cooperatively. The game doesn't change, playing co-op or solo. If you're going to play one player, you're going to be controlling all 4 agents. If you're going to be playing 4 players, you're going to be controlling all 4 agents in a cooperative scenario. It's just that maybe one player is making the decisions, and that being said, it's very easy to make the decisions for each character. The mental load is not huge. The instructions for the characters are on your character cards, so it's fairly easy. The app also manages some of that for you, not letting you finish your turn without using all of your abilities when applicable.
Yeah, I mean, the abilities are cool. They kind of, a couple of times, led us down the wrong path, but that's our own fault.
Yeah, and that was also because we weren't using the abilities properly in one of these scenarios. Now, what's really interesting about the app versus the physical game, I showed you these packs which unlock based on who wins. So, recruiter wins, Rogue agents get new abilities. Rogue agents win. Recruiter gets new abilities. It's very cool. There are digital versions of these packs, and they are not identical to what you're going to be getting with the physical game. And I thought that was very cool and very well done because the gameplay is still slightly different. It's not exactly the same thing playing against an AI opponent.
I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I mean, it's hard for me to be overly critical or to have a lot of positive to say because I don't know that I played it to
the best of your ability.
Well, no, I played it as well as I could, I believe, but it's not in my wheelbase. It's not something I enjoy. It's not something I excel at. And therefore, I can't really comment. I mean, I think it's got a good concept. It's not for me. I can honestly tell you, I think this is something that I think you'd have fun with at game night. I will not be one of the ones clamoring to play with you. I will encourage you to play with other people. But this game isn't for me. And if it was just my decision, this is not a game that would stay. I do know you feel differently. So go ahead.
Well, I feel differently because I like this game. And the more that we're playing it, the more we're figuring it out. And this is definitely the kind of game, the more you play, the better you're going to get at it. Like looking at the game and looking at the fact that, you're really controlling two agents and two agents, you kind of want to figure out a solid tandem. And you really want to be trying to follow each other up. So, for example, if someone finds a step, you may want to have the same player come in and even do the reveal unless you're fairly certain you know what step it is. At that point, if you found a step and you want to try to find more and keep the trail going, you want to do that. I'd say that our greatest weaknesses was often finding a step and then not being able to capitalize on that information because so many of our agents were out of position. And as you can see right here, when we're finally doing well, this player is, which one is it?
Henry Lyon.
Henry's out of position because he was doing his best to block the recruiter from getting more agents, something that we did successfully do. And our three agents are finally moving a little bit more together and closing in. Also, being able to use Dusty's ability to the full extent was quite useful at the end when I could pretty much move anyone across the map because we'd gotten rid of the recruiter's ability to recruit. That being said, there are a lot of little details that you need to remember, like what things the Immortals are blocking, what you can ask questions about, what you can't ask questions about, and that's where I think the app falls a little bit flat on its face for me. The app does not have an undo button. And we've talked about this with many apps in the past. An undo button is something that is an absolute must with any board game application that's going to be replicating the tabletop experience with an app, because sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you don't realize that this bus is here in the corner and you want to ask about the bus. You've already moved and you can't go back. You're stuck with the decision that you make. Yeah, that's okay, but it's very frustrating because in the case of a game where you're playing, live with friends, you're going to be like, you move here and you're like, oh, I can't ask a question there. I didn't realize that. No one's really going to get upset at you. They're probably going to let you take back your move because you'd made a plan, you missed something. Unless you played the game, 20, 30 times, you really should know better at this point. So I just found that very frustrating, and it definitely led to some lesser decisions being made on our part a couple of times while we were playing the game. Now, I don't think it necessarily would have let us win the last game, but considering we were basically the recruiter surrounded and he was about to start having to backtrack, I think, we might have been able to cut him off and win the game. What do you think about the app?
Yeah, the app was frustrating, but I mean...
In that aspect, I think everything else about the app was great.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was going to say, I think the one thing I can add about the app, from my perspective, we were playing it more with the app than on this case. There's several times we didn't even move the meeples around. We were just playing with the app, basically. So
you almost don't need the physical game to play this with the app. That's cool, but I mean, you could actually probably mock this up. And probably shouldn't be saying that because I want to sell copies of the game, and this is a review copy, but the app does a great job of simulating the game. That being said, you will not be able to play it the way it was designed primarily, which is playing versus. So the fact that you get both, for me, has a lot of value in the package. Also, this is the only hidden movement game we have in our collection. I played quite a few hidden movement games. I'm not their biggest fans overall, but I like this one. I like the fact that this one can be played at any time. No matter what the scenario is, I can get to the table. I love the art because it's based on the comic strip, Mind Management. It captures the feel of that word very well. And it's just something that I'm going to want to keep because I like variety. And I think this excels as a hidden movement game, and I can't see myself needing any others in my collection. It's not our favorite game type. We now have one. We have one that does things very well and is quite ingenious in terms of its game design. Now, before we get into our final closing comments, I said I would show you a little bit more of the components. You also get to see just a little bit more how nice the box is. So everything is very well designed with game trays for storage. All these baggies came with it. And the main thing that I wanted to show you is the shift system, where you've got one half, Mind Management, and then you've got the other half over here, which is for the rogue agents. So, also, by the way, this is something a little new that we're trying. Just because of the way we had everything set up, we figured we'd try to review the components as we discuss the game, and then let you guys let us know if you liked it or not. Rulebook is good, but I have to say that when it came to trying to figure this out cooperatively, just kind of looking at the rulebook, it seemed a lot harder than it was. Actually, so if you are going to pick up the game just to play it cooperatively, my recommendation is watch a couple how to play videos, get just a feel for it. How to play videos are probably about 20 minutes, then you'll be fine with the app after you see those. It just brings everything into context. In retrospect, we probably could have got this to the table earlier, but looking at that rule book and trying to see how that rule book translates cooperatively kind of just kept kicking me down the line, and we've had this game for a while. So want to apologize to the guys that sent it to us. Really appreciate it. We should have got it out earlier, but hopefully, Gen Con's coming up. Maybe this review will give you guys a nice spike in sales because we'll get some more people interested in it. And on that note, I'm going to remind you to like.
No. We have to give our review, our ratings.
Oh, that's right. I got to let on myself because I realized I forgot my drink. So I'll be toasting with the air, or Julie will just be drinking by herself. And that's, recruiter versus rogue agents. I guess the recruiter would have to say sober.
So I'm gonna give this a 6 based on the fact that I can see what it's supposed to be, even if it's not for me. I think it definitely does well. And the app, the integration, the fact that there's different modes of play, the quality of the game, the components, everything that's in here, it definitely warrants at least a 6, even if it's not for me.
So I'm going to give this game a 7.5. Some couple more quality of life features in the app probably would have got this up to an 8 for me, but that 7.5 is because I'm always going to get a little frustrated not being able to walk my move back, especially if I'm going to be playing solo when I'm trying to play against myself and get better at the game. That's something that's going to drive me nuts, especially if I make a mistake that could potentially cost me the game. So that's just one thing that I'm going to put out there. Otherwise, I think this game is great. And it almost is an 8 because you get both modes in a very good social deduction game with high quality components. And quite frankly, I don't think there's really anything else on the market. Now, we did get a request to ask which version of this game that we've got. This is a review copy, so this is the retail version of the game that we have. I don't believe it's the deluxe version. This is what you can currently pick up off the shelves. So on that note, we're now going to remind you to...
I'm going to remind everybody to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below. In the video description, you'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Mind Management, there'll be some on those feeds. Eventually, I'm lagging behind on those pictures. Going to try to get that caught up as we are going to have some vacation coming up in the near future. So hopefully you'll have a bunch more pictures for you to see. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie's going to take you back to...
No idea.
I'll try to find something that is in the same theme or from the same company or the same designer. So something that relates to what we covered here today. Now I'm going to remind Julie, I'll have Julie grab her drink. So grab me, your fellow rogue agent. I remind you to keep playing games.